Welcome to Expert Talk. I'm Tigo. Today's going to be an exciting show. You guys are going to love this. We've got Myron Golden coming to the show. He's going to talk about mastery. He's going to talk about your mindset. And if you think you know how to think again. Sit right there. We'll be right back.
Dr. Myron Golden is a dynamic business trainer and success coach, author, and speaker. He has over 30 years of experience in the marketing and sales arena. Despite the fact that he contracted polio as an infant, Myron is a black belt in the martial arts and has had to overcome many obstacles to succeed in his life and career. He is in high demand as a speaker and trainer in the areas of sales, marketing, and business development and financial literacy. Myron has assisted his clients and businesses that do as much as $10 million per year in revenue. And Myron can assist any business owner in growing their business by 2x, 5x, or even 10x what they are currently producing. Myron teaches also everyday people to become wealthy, often using skills they already have. Myron is able to help his clients see the value in skills and resources they already have but have been undervaluing. He is the author of several books on the subjects of business and finance. His book, From the Trash Man to the Cash Man, has sold over 140,000 copies. If you will open your mind and allow him to share with you his principles, he can change your life for the better. Now, put your hands together for Myron Golden.
Hey, Myron, welcome to my show.
It is absolutely my pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
You know, you are amazing. I'm a super fan. Every time I see your name pop up, I'm looking at my schedule going, can I watch that one? Can I be a part of that one? Because you keep it real. You keep it real for everyone. It's not, although you are one of those superstars, it's not just for superstars. It's for regular people to understand they're not stuck where they are.
Oh, no, definitely. Nobody's stuck where they are unless they decide that they're stuck where they are.
You know, I know that you have went from trash man to cash man, and we'll get into that. And I know you're an author, a speaker, you're a finance expert. We're going to get into all that. But I want to know, who was Myron when he was 10, 9? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, it depends on which day it was. So that's a great question. That I don't know if I've ever been asked that on an interview before. What did I want to be when I grew up? There was a time when I wanted to be a lawyer because I watched a lot of Perry Mason and I loved the way they argued and proved their points. I wanted to be a race car driver because I loved Mario Andretti and AJ Foyt, and I just wanted to be a race car driver. And my dad took me to a sprint car race when I was probably 9 or 10, and I loved fast cars. I wanted to be a doctor. I had polio as an infant, and so I wanted to figure out a way to make the body work better. And I definitely wanted to be a millionaire. When I was a child, I thought, if I could get 1 million people to send me $1,
right?
Pretty cool. What would I have to do to get 1 million people to send me $1? And I didn't realize that you could extrapolate the math from there. But anyway, so it depends on the day. What did I want to be when I grew up? But I knew that I wanted to do something that was fun and made a difference.
So now the question becomes, because I've got 2 out of that, now the question becomes, okay, you're 10 years old, you get 1 million people to send you $1. Did you think about what you want to do with $1 million when you got it?
Had no idea of what $1 million really was, except I knew it was a lot of money because as you saw people talking about being a millionaire on TV or having $1 million, you just knew that was $1 million was the number when I was a child that was so high you couldn't count it. So I just knew it'd be more than enough. What would I do? Pretty much whatever I wanted to. And I didn't have a specific goal in mind. And I don't even know that the $1 million was a specific goal. It's just a thought. What if I could do that? And lo and behold, later on, I found out, wow, you actually can do it.
Yeah, you figured that out, and you've taught a lot of other people how to do that as well. You know, you mentioned understanding your body, that you went through polio, and I read about that. I actually heard you on stages a couple of times mentioning. And I want to ask you, black belt in martial arts, excuse me?
Yeah. So like, I like to teach people, and this is really an interesting conversation around the time of an election, especially what I'm about to say. I
Uh-oh.
like to teach people there are two types of factors in the world. There are two types of factors in your life, my life, everybody else's life. And those two types of factors are contributing factors and determining factors. Contributing factors are what happens to you. They are COVID-19. They are the car broke down. They are I got a flat tire. They are I was in an accident. They are the doctor gave me bad news. They are I lost my job. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are contributing factors that people start to believe are determining factors.
Ah.
Right? And so if you believe a contributing factor is a determining factor, you will always feel like a victim. Right? But when you recognize that contributing factors are almost always something that's going on outside of you and always outside of your control, whereas determining factors are what goes on inside you, and those are always within your control.
Now, is that, I think that just opened the door for us to talk about mindset, because I've heard you talk about mindset many times, and getting your mind right and being able to think in the right, learning how to truly think.
Right. And most people don't think, they just think they think. But what happens is, like, you'll have a bunch of politicians and they'll tell you they're going to fix all your problems. And for people who believe that contributing factors are determining factors, they'll buy that lie. But the reality is, no politician, doctor, mama, daddy, grandmama, them, nobody can fix your problems but you. In fact, you were assigned the specific challenges that you have in your life because those were the challenges that you were supposed to overcome in order for you to be a champion. Yeah, I'm a black belt in martial arts, and I have my left leg is weaker than my other leg, and learning how to kick and was challenging. Learning how to punch was easy. So I did more moves with my hands than I did with my feet. But and people look at me like, oh my goodness, you were a black belt in martial arts and you walk with a brace. I knew a guy who was a black belt in martial arts. He had no legs.
Wow.
No legs. And he would fight in karate tournaments and win.
Wow.
So we have all these ideas. So what will happen is something will happen outside of us and it'll be a contributing factor, but we'll create a story about that thing. We'll tell ourselves that story, and then we'll go around acting as if the story we told ourselves is the truth about the situation. But the reality is, the story that we told ourselves is exactly that. It's the story we told ourselves. And that's where the determining factors come from. They come from the stories we tell ourselves.
Now, and it's also, to me, and it's my opinion, that it's what we're told by our parents. Like, my parents said, being rich, having money, making $1 million, that's for them. And I would ask my mother, well, who's them? And she says, them over there. She never knew who them was, but she knew that it was never meant for us to make any money. It was never meant for us to do anything but live payday to payday and keep the lights on. So right. How do you feel about that?
So it's the same thing. So let's say your parents that's what your parents taught you. That's outside of you. And then once you see somebody tells us something, regardless of what they tell us, whether they tell us we can be rich or can't be rich, it still has to go through our filter. And then we have to translate that into a story we can buy into. There were things that my parents told me that I believed, and there were things my parents told me that I didn't believe. Right? Yeah. And so at the end of the day, this is how I like to say it. At the end of the day, every top has to sit on its own bottom. And I've got to take responsibility for my actions or lack thereof.
Okay, so now let's talk about what I call the lottery curse, or whatever people call the lottery curse, and what my opinion is. People say, oh no, people win the lottery, they lose it within years, blah, blah, blah. And I always tell them, if you got $211 in your checking account and you can't balance your checkbook, if you got $211 million in your checking account, you still can't balance your checkbook. So what do you think about people's mindset when it comes to money itself and what they should do with their finances?
Oh, you know how to load a question and hand it to a brother, don't you?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You said you were ready to walk into the lion's den. Welcome to my home.
Let's go. There you go. There you go. Well, I'll say this. Most people, 90, I'm going to say worst case scenario, best case scenario, 97% of the people in the world are absolutely clueless about money, even though it affects every aspect of their lives. They have no idea what money is. They have no idea what money's supposed to do. They have no idea how it works. they think it's something that you're supposed to trade your time for. And so almost everything that people believe about money has to do with a lie that they've been told, but they bought the lie. And my encouragement for people is don't buy the lie. It costs too much. So what do I mean when I say that? Well, first of all, most people believe that money is inherently evil, right? Yeah. Most people, right? Yeah. The people who don't believe that money is inherently neutral. And there's a small sliver of people who believe that money is inherently good. Well, and people say, well, money's evil, and the more money you have, the more evil you are. Well, I'm not buying that lie. I mean, I've got a lot of money, and I'm really not an evil dude, right? And I know I've got a lot of friends who have a lot of money, and they're not evil people. And so I'm not buying the lie that the more money you have, the more evil you are. I happen to be a person who I'm 59. I have been studying the Bible for 42 years. And what's fascinating to me is the Bible is a book about life. It's not a book about religion, right? And a lot of people think that the Bible is a book about religion. But the Bible is not a book about religion. It's a book about life. It's a book about government. It's a book about how things work. And what's fascinating to me is when I read the Bible, and I've been reading it for a long time, here's what I discovered. Satan didn't create money. God did. Satan didn't create wealth. God did. And but we have this idea that we got from religious conjecture that somehow or another money is inherently evil, and the more of it you have, the more evil you are. Well, it's just not how it works. So money is simply a tool. It is a spiritual tool. It is, and say what people say, well, what's it a tool for? It's a tool to measure value, measure and store value, and to exchange, measure and store value. That's what money is. It's a tool to exchange, store, and measure value. What does that mean? Well, you exchange value. My mother-in-law's birthday is today, and my wife and I are going to take my mother-in-law out to dinner, and my son-in-law and my daughter and my granddaughter. We're all going to go to dinner together for my mother-in-law's birthday today. I'm a very nice guy. I eat at this restaurant all the time. They know me. When I go there, hey, Mr. Golden, how you doing? But they're not going to feed me because I'm a nice guy. True. They're not going to feed me because they know me. They're going to feed me for one reason and one reason only. And that is because I can prove to them that I created value for someone other than myself. How do I prove that? I prove that by taking out a credit card. I prove that by taking out some money. And I give them the money, which basically says, hey, I served somebody, they gave me this. This is my proof. This is my certificate of value created that I'm going to give you so that you can give me some food.
Wow.
So I like to tell people money is the incentive program that God created so human beings would treat each other good.
I love that. But I know what's happening right now. I got viewers out there that are looking at this and they're going, well, yeah, you can say that. You have money. You know, I've been laid off. I've been downsized. I'm sitting here in my house wondering, you know, am I going to get to keep my house? And of course, you can say that because, you're you. You don't know what this is like. They haven't read your book, so they don't know what that is. And they're going, somebody who already has it, how are you going to tell somebody else who has no clue how they could even get through next month, let alone the rest of their lives?
I think that's one of the things that qualifies me to be able to tell them. The fact that, I'm one of those people, probably like you, Tigo. I'm one of those people who did really well in school all the way through. I did great in school, all the way through the third grade, and fourth grade through 12th grade. fourth grade through 12th grade, sister, it went down the drain. You hear what I'm saying? Third grade, I started getting bored. Fourth grade, I was done. I was mentally checked out. I couldn't figure out why these people were wasting my time. I couldn't figure out why I was doing the same thing now I just did last year. And I thought we were supposed to be here to learn stuff. I already noticed. Why are we still doing it?
Yeah.
And I totally checked out. And I stayed checked out until I graduated. In fact, I almost quit school 2 weeks before my graduation. That's a whole nother story. But I grew up poor. I'm the second of 7 brothers. My parents were hardworking, but they didn't know how to make money work for them. So we grew up poor. When I was growing up, I never one time when I lived in my parents' house as a child, not one time in my life did I ever see them buy a car that cost more than $500. And I saw them buy a lot of cars that cost less than $100. When I went off to college, met this beautiful girl, and see, I didn't have money. All of my clothes back then, like I have custom clothes made now, right? But back then I didn't have custom clothes made. All my clothes came from Goodwill, AMVETS, and Salvation Army, right? So I met this girl, and man, she was, I said, Lord. Well, you can see a picture of me and her right there, right? Okay. And that picture was taken probably 32 or 33 years ago, and she still looks exactly the same today.
Wow, that's amazing.
So like I was just talking to my administrator today, Lorinda, and she says, I love your wife. She looks like a stinking teenager. Well, she does, but she's not a teenager, right? So what happened was I didn't have money. I didn't have a nice car. I didn't have nice clothes. I didn't have pockets full of money. So the only 2 things I had going for me was I could write poetry that could make you hurt yourself, and I could talk really good. So you know what I did? I met this girl. The day that I met her, went back to my dorm room. I told my brother, I said, I met the girl today I'm going to marry. But I had a little bit of a challenge. Would you like to know what that was, T? I would definitely like to know what that was. She didn't go back to her room and tell anybody she would go marry me. And so I wrote a poem when I was 21 that was 27 stanzas. I believed back then, like I believe right now, if you want something, throw the gauntlet down and just like be all in, right? So I wrote this poem called What Will It Take? I won't do the whole thing, but you want to hear some of it anyway? Yes, please. So I wrote this poem called What Will It Take? I'm 21 years old. She's 18. And I said, what will it take to win thine heart, thou fairest of the fair? Will it take a prince of princes or a valiant knight to dare to win in one so beautiful as you? Might that require a nobleman, a priest, a king, or someone even higher? What will it take to win the heart of one so kind and fair in you? It'll probably take a rich man or handsome of a truth. What will it take to win the heart of one so comely and sublime? Must one be a sovereign ruler or a monarch in his prime? None of these do I possess, and yet I seek to win thine heart, thou queen of elegance, above these valiant men. I'm not a prince of princes, and I've never been a knight, but if I had a chance to win your heart, I think I might. I'm not a nobleman, I'm not a priest or king, but to win your heart, thou fairest, I'd make the bells of heaven ring. Since I don't know what it takes to win your heart so true, please tell me what it takes to win, and that's what I would do. She said, oh, Myron. I said, oh, it's on now, boy, it's on. And a whole bunch of poems later, and a whole bunch of promises later, I finally got her to say, I do. Wow. Guess what? Guess what happened? What happened? We got married before I learned the marriage math. Okay, explain. And the marriage math like rocked our boat. Here's how the marriage math works. If you are having a hard time taking care of one person financially, taking care of 2 people is twice as hard. Yeah, most definitely. And then if you have children, you have a whole new problem. Now we are at a whole nother level, right? So watch this. Here's what happened. I'm married to this beautiful girl that I made all these promises, wrote all these poems, and I couldn't find a job. So what I'd do is I'd buy old raggedy cars, fix them up, and then put them in the paper and sell them. I'd do whatever I could do to hustle up some money, right? Wow. Well, lo and behold, don't you know that we were so poor at one point, just me and my wife, so poor at one point that we had a couch, a chair, a kitchen table, and a bed, and a dresser. We took the cushions out of the couch and the chair, took the seats out of the car, so we could find enough change to buy 1 loaf of bread so we could eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Because we had the peanut butter and we had the jelly, but if you don't have no bread, you can't make no sandwich. And we didn't have no bread. Wow. Okay, so I know what it's like to be pitiful poor. Definition of pitiful poor. So poor people feel sorry for you, right? And I can remember when my wife was 8 months pregnant with our first child, our water and electricity were both disconnected at the same time. Dang. And I was working as hard as I could and doing everything I knew how to do, but everything I knew how to do was not enough. So I had to learn something I didn't know, become something that I had not yet become, so I could do something that I couldn't have. I do something I couldn't do before, so I could finally have something that I had never been able to have. And see, if I'm unwilling to learn and unwilling to become and unwilling to do, I don't deserve to have.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so that opens up, my brain's going, that opens up so many things. I want to talk about sales. I want to talk about family. So let's talk about family first. You have grandchildren, you have children.
I have a grandchild, yeah.
Grandchild, and they're, watching you do what you do. And they come to you and say, your grandchild comes to you and says, I don't want to go to college. I just want to watch and do what you do. What do you say?
What would I say? Mm-hmm. I would say congratulations, you're a genius. That's what I would say. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to ask you a question. All if you said, hey, I've got this deal. Okay. That's all I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it a deal. Mm-hmm. Got a deal. This deal is going to cost you, let's just say $20,000. It really is going to cost you $40,000. But I got a deal for you, $20,000.
Upsells. Okay.
Okay. So it's $20,000, but it's $20,000 for 4 years in a row.
Okay.
And at the end of 4 years in a row, you will be able to receive, in exchange for the majority of your days, you will be able to receive somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000 a year. Is that a great deal?
No, that's a terrible deal.
Oh, okay. It's a terrible deal. It's so fascinating to me that, okay, so I don't know if I should say this or not, but I have to tell the truth, right? Because
this is expert talk. You're the expert. Come on, man.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. So I believe that the miseducational, misdirectional system, it's called the educational system, but it's the miseducational, misdirectional system because it miseducates people, misdirects people. And it teaches us two very, very, very painful and destructive lessons. One, it teaches us if you don't do well in school, you can't do well in life. That does a great disservice to the people who don't do well in school. Mm-hmm. But it does a worse disservice to the other group of people, the ones who do well in school, because they tell them if you do well in school, you'll automatically do well in life. And so people lean their ladder up against that building and they do everything they can to do well in school, and they graduate and they can't figure out how to make their life work.
Right.
Right.
And usually
so now both groups of people
doesn't work.
What's that?
And usually they have a degree that doesn't work. There's so many people and managers at fast food places with
they got a piece of paper hanging on the wall that they can't buy a Big Mac or a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A with. And I'm not saying education is not important. I think nothing is more valuable than education. But we have to ask ourselves, there's a book that I read called Dumbing Us Down, and one called Weapons of Mass Instruction. Maybe you've read those, maybe you haven't. They were both written by 5-time Teacher of the Year. And he said, the purpose of school is not to teach people how to think. It is to program people not to think. I agree with that. I do too. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, this whole idea of send your kids off to college and college is going to make them productive citizens. College makes children, young people, anything but productive. They go off to college. Most kids go off to college and they spend 4 years, or at least 2 of their first 4 years, getting drunk, getting high, and laying around with everybody for the first 1.5 to 2 years. And some of them for the whole time. and just playing and wasting time and wasting money.
Yeah, and usually it's the parents' money.
Exactly. So it's the next level of I don't want to grow up.
Wow.
I find it fascinating that in America, we want parents to feel guilty for not playing with their children, and we act like the creme de la creme of parenthood is parents who play with their children. I think the creme de la creme of parenthood is parents who take their children to work with them, because they're going to be coming into our world. We're never going to be going into their world.
I agree with that. You know, my parents were literal sharecroppers when they were kids, Mississippi and Arkansas, and they were labor workers. There's no other way to put it. My father worked in the steel mill and my mom worked in the sweatshop. And when school was on strike or there was summer breaks or whatever, they took me to work with them. And I knew that was not what I wanted to do, you know, and their answer was, get good grades, stay in school. And I said, that's not it either. There's got to be a better way. So I joined the Navy and my life completely changed. But it's like, you know, I'm sitting here and the first thing I'm thinking about is there's so many people that I've heard it my whole life, jack of all trades, master of none. So they know a lot about a little of everything, and they have no understanding of what mastery is, or how to pursue it, or even if it's something in their wheelhouse. Can we touch on that for just a minute?
So mastery, I believe that's one of my favorite words, mastery, because one of the things that I teach my students is that one of the biggest problems of the miseducational, misdirectional system is the fact that they teach you that the purpose of learning is knowing, but the purpose of learning is not knowing. The purpose of learning is mastery. Now, I'm not just going to say that. I'm going to give you a definition of mastery. The definition of mastery is the ability to execute effortlessly without the use of conscious resources. So when I tie my shoes, I'm using mastery. Why? It does not require any of my conscious resources. A lot of times when I'm driving, it's mastery. When I'm riding a bike, it's mastery. I don't have to, okay, how do you do this again? Okay, get on the bike, do the pedals. I don't have to, no, it's relegated to my unconscious, to my subconscious automatic mind. And so what most people don't do is they don't learn skills that when they master them, they will take their life to another level. It's so fascinating. Do you realize that what people really need to succeed beyond some basic 8th grade educational stuff, they need the right mindset, right?
Agreed.
And they need the right skill sets, and they need the right tool sets. Those 3 things right there can take your life to another level. And you need to master your mindset. What do I mean by mindset? I'm talking about your expectation, which is your greatest superpower. That's one of the things you got to do with your mind. You got to empower your expectation and only give energy to outcomes you desire. 2, with regard to mindset, is you have to understand that the purpose of learning is mastery. And the purpose of mastery is mastery stacking. And when you can stack mastery on top of mastery on top of mastery on top of mastery on top of mastery, what happens is you reach a point in your life where you're doing all of these seemingly complex things and they don't require any of your conscious resources. Have you ever learned how to juggle?
No, but I always wanted to. I could never get past like 2 items.
Okay, so what's really cool when you learn how to juggle, what they do is they'll take a thing like a ball of some kind, and they'll just say, throw it up and down, back and forth. When you can do this 30 times, then add another one, right? Mm-hmm. And so what you have to do is you have to master juggling one ball.
Right.
Then you throw one up, and when this one's coming down, that's when you throw the other one up. And I only have one that's this weight. If I had 2 golf balls on my desk, which I don't, I could show you what I'm talking about. But a guy taught me how to juggle one time in less than 15 minutes on stage in front of 1,000 people. Wow. And it's one of the greatest illustrations of how to be successful in life I've ever seen, because life is a series of juggling different responsibilities. And so what you do is you master one, and you get one down to where it requires all this attention, all this attention, all this attention. And then finally one time you finally got it, and life's like, right? And so you keep going back and forth. Then you throw another one in there, and when one's on its way down, you throw the other one up, and then you throw one more in there. And when one's on its way down, you're always throwing one up when one's coming down, right? And so like you master one at a time, then you master 2 at a time, and then you master 3 at a time, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's so amazing, he can juggle. Well, what he did was he mastered something and then stacked another mastery on top of that mastery and another one on top of that one. And in business, what you've got to do is you've got to learn business skills and then mastery stack those business skills. When it comes to money, you've got people want to stack up money. Well, you can't just stack up money. You got to stack. First of all, you got to master some money skills. And then you have to stack those money skills that you've mastered on top, those masteries of money skills on top of each other. And then you can create wealth. But it feels, the reason it looks magical when people make a lot of money, it looks magical and it looks effortless because they've taken the time to master each individual component and then stack those components on top of each other. So they do all of these complex moves without any use of conscious resources. And they make it look so easy that it seems impossible to other people who are watching.
Wow. Okay, now that I'm sitting here with my mind blown and I got 28 and a half minutes for the network, and I'm going to sit here and just look at you for a second and go, wow. I want you to know how much that's costing, that one wow. And then I'm sitting here going, okay, I got 15 questions going through my head, so I hope you can come back again because I know we only have you for a few more minutes. But I want to ask you about the word expert because the show is called Expert Talk. And I get 1 out of maybe 2 out of 3 people that actually want to be on the show because the other ones, even though they've been doing what they do for 5, 10, 15 years, they go, but I'm not an expert. That's not me. I just do what I do. I'm not an expert. Why do people not want to give themselves the credit for the work and effort that they put into their careers, their family, their life journey? They just want to sit back and go, no, that's the other guy. That's not me. Why is that?
Well, I call it the world's worst business disease. I call it I'm just me-itis.
Yeah.
Inflammation of the I'm just me gland.
Exactly.
So fascinating that when we see someone else who does something that we can do, when they can do it, it's awesome. When we can do it, well, it's just everybody can do that. Well, everybody can't do it. There are things like when you were telling me, "Oh, Myron, I'm a super fan of yours." I'm thinking to myself, I didn't know I had super fans.
Oh, you do.
I do. Okay. And that's great, but I don't mean this to sound funny, but I'm not a super fan of me. I mean, I love being me, but I know I'm a regular guy. And I think most people are in tune with the fact that they're just a regular guy or a regular girl. And when other people make a big deal out of them, they're like, why are you making a big deal about me? I get to spend all my time with me. And, I'm just a regular person. Well, none of us are just regular people. The reality is we're all superstars. We are all experts at least at being us. Go back 50 years. You couldn't convince somebody that they could have a television show and make millions of dollars because they know how to cook. But if you just go back a decade or two and ask Rachel Ray, hey, you know how to cook. You want to turn a camera on and cook in front of a camera? That makes you a food expert. There are people who build motorcycles. They turn a camera on, build motorcycles in front of a camera. Now they're motorcycle experts. There are people who rebuild cars and renovate cars. They turn a camera on. You want to be an expert, take the stuff you do that you think is not that big of a deal, turn on a camera, and then you become an expert. I'll be honest with you. I know how, as a businessman, to generate millions of dollars, millions. And I've got students, I've got one student who he just gave me one of the greatest gifts ever. I don't know if you saw the post on Facebook or not, but he knows I'm a golfaholic, right?
Okay.
So he gave me a framed green jacket that's signed by some of the greatest Masters champions of all time. Wow. Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, all these legendary golfers signed this jacket. And the reason he gave me this green jacket, which I didn't know he was giving me anything. He's a genius. He was making a fortune before he met me, but I showed him some stuff. And with the stuff that I showed him, he made $1 million in a day. He's like, yeah, I've had a lot of coaches, but only Myron helped me make $1 million a day. So this is my way of saying thank you. I appreciate all that you've done for me. Here's this green jacket. And it was like I'm in front of my class that I'm teaching, and it's everything that I can do to keep from breaking down and crying right? So I don't think I don't think any of us really see ourselves as all that in a bag of chips like other people see us. But if we gave them an opportunity to see us, they would find out where that greatness is in us and point it out to us if we were the only ones not seeing it.
Yeah, except for the people who think they're all that in a bag of chips and maybe
boom chugga lugga lugga.
Yeah,
and they ain't all that or a bag of chips, right?
There you go. I'll let you say it. But I have to tell you, I know you got to get out of here soon, but I got to tell you a quick funny story. We're watching you on Tucama, which was an event back in June or July. And it was the first time that one of my business partners had an opportunity to actually do the 3 days. And he's watching it. And I said to him, he said, that guy is cool. And I said, okay, he ran out and he bought your book. He's an award-winning author. If you guys don't know that, he is. He's an award-winning. He can teach you how to speak from the front of the stage. We'll get into that. But he ran out and bought your book. He came back. He's quoting all the stuff that he read and blah, blah, blah. And I said, what you need to do is grab your golf clubs because he loves to play. I said, what you need to do is grab your golf clubs because that man's going to be, this was before COVID or in the middle of COVID, but after COVID's over, we'll get you. I said, because when COVID's over, he's got to come to Vegas at some point. And I don't care. He's going to be part of my inner circle. I'm going to get to be part of his, not knowing you were going to be on my show, which means I don't play golf, but you do. And if you go out there and get skunked by this man.
Oh, he better. Hey, I don't know if he's going to get skunked by me, but he better bring his A game because his B game won't do him no good.
I'm like, our country club membership is for that one day when you're going to take him out and play golf. It's like, he's like, really? I'm like, I'll figure it out. Just start playing. And he's been putting in the backyard ever since. Getting ready. So you are a consultant. You teach people how to speak from the front of the stage. You speak all over the world. You understand finance. You know, I know you sleep well. What did you do the first time you realized that, hey, you know, you gave us that wonderful story about meeting your wife and what you went through for that struggle. What did you do the first time you realized we're financially okay? We're okay, and I know how to build from here. What did that moment feel like?
It's really interesting. I think that moment for me wasn't about selling from the stage, though. In fact, that wasn't even something I had done yet. It wasn't about anything other than discovering a principle that changed my life forever. It's even to this day, it is the greatest financial aha I've ever had. And so the financial aha that I had, it happened in April of 1999. Okay. So I discovered a principle in 1899 and in 1899. I discovered a principle in January of 1999. I started applying the principle, and in April of 99, I had a breakthrough. And this breakthrough is what changed my life. Okay. It's the most powerful financial principle that I've discovered to this day. And to this day, it still blows my mind. So here it is. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Like, this will be the most important thing I say on this whole show, I think.
Okay.
It is easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little money over a long period of time. So that wasn't what I discovered in January. This principle I discovered in January was the different people have different motivations for making money. Poor people think the purpose of money is paying bills. Middle class people think the purpose of money is establishing good credit. Rich people believe the purpose of money is turning it into more money.
Wow.
And so I shifted my focus from, okay, what can I buy with this money, or what bills can I pay with this money, to what kind of asset can I turn this money into? What can I put this money into that's going to turn into more money? And so I shifted my focus, and I started focusing on building assets that would pay me even when I wasn't working. And what's fascinating is when you do that, when you first start building the asset, it doesn't pay you at all. And so most people are so addicted to a paycheck that they can't work on anything that could make them wealthy long enough to see the fruit of it, because usually the things that will make you wealthy aren't going to make you anything the first day, maybe not even the first week, maybe not even the first month. I mean, Jeff Bezos, he was almost 10 years before he was profitable, and now he's one of the richest men in the world, if he's not the richest man in the world. Wow. See, most people are so addicted to a paycheck that they have not yet learned how to stop working for money. I believe in working hard. I believe in making money. I just don't believe that working hard is a good reason to make money. I mean, I don't believe that making money is a good reason to work hard. I believe it's more important to work hard to develop relationships, work hard to learn a new skill, work hard to build a system that will pay me when I'm no longer building it. Those are three great reasons to work hard. But I don't believe in working hard for money. And so I shifted my focus to how do I turn money into something that makes me more money? And then by April of 1999, I accidentally made $6,200 in 1 week. It was the most money I'd ever made in a week in my life. It was almost as much as I'd ever made in a month in my life. And the first thing I said when I made $6,200 in 1 week, I said, wow. And then I said it backwards. I said, wow. And
I said it backwards.
and I know for those watching me, I know I'm corny, but it's not news.
They're laughing too. It's okay.
I've been that way for a long time. It's not likely to change anytime soon. And so then I said, it's amazing how easy that was. That must mean it's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little money over a long period of time. And in that moment, I decided I am going to stop looking at or looking for the hard ways to make a little bit of money. And I'm only going to look at and look for the easier ways to make a lot. And when I did that, everything changed for me.
My goodness, I can't think of a better way to wrap up this segment. I really hope that you will come back, because we could spend an entire segment just talking about speaking from the stage, just talking about mastery. I mean, we kind of touched on a little bit of everything. I've been flashing your website and your social media as you've been speaking through this episode. But if you'll tell people, because they may be listening and not watching, how do they get in touch with you?
What's really cool, so I don't talk on the phone generally unless I'm talking to somebody in my family or one of my high-paying clients. And don't talk to my high-paying clients on the phone very often. Okay, so I don't talk to people because I don't like the phone. It's an interruption. The best way to reach me, if you want to reach me personally, we've got teams that do all of that stuff, answer phones and emails and all that. If you want to reach me personally, you want to get a response from me, send me a message on Instagram. I check my own Instagram. If you send me a message on Instagram, I will get that faster than I'll get a text message. I'll check it and respond to it faster than I'll check and respond to a text message. So Instagram is the best way to communicate with me. That's number one. I have a free gift for everybody who's an entrepreneur. You're a high-level entrepreneur. You're already making some money. You'd like to take your business to another level. I've got a free gift for those people. If you'd like me to tell them.
Oh, yes, please.
So there are 5 keys that if you master these 5 keys, you can scale your business twofold, threefold, tenfold, 100-fold. And these 5 keys are what I showed my student Dan, who had that $1 million day. I've had several students have $1 million day. And so it's called the 5 keys of, it's the 5 golden keys of scale. So if you go to www.keysofscale.com, and put your name and email address in, you'll get access to the video immediately on the 5 golden keys of scale. You'll probably want to take notes on it. If it makes sense to you and your business is somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000 a month in revenue, and you want to take it to between $100,000 and $5 million a month in revenue, then book a call and see if you apply to see if you qualify to work with us. And if you do, congratulations. And if you don't, congratulations, you're at least working towards it.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. And he's honest. I found him on Instagram, but let me just go ahead and say it, because Tigo keeps it real. He opened the door. Don't just call this man or hit him on Instagram with craziness, because he will shut down that door and then Tigo can't find him. So don't do that to me. Please don't do that to me. He's a great guy. He'll help you. I'll help you. You guys already know that. But make sure when you step to him, as they say in Chicago, you step to him correctly. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I really hope you'll come back again.
I can't wait.
Yeah, you are everything that I thought the show would be, and everything is way beyond where I thought we could go in a single segment. Yeah, I've got a lot to learn, and I can learn a lot from you. You're an amazing man. Thank you so much.
And I am sure there is plenty that I will learn from you. So thank you.
What a journey. Myron Golden has had one heck of a journey, and he's nowhere near being done blazing his trail. I hope you enjoyed this segment. I hope you enjoyed the information that he shared, and it helped you a little bit on your journey. I'm Tigo, and I'll talk to you next time.